So, M3S, if you did not see the last two videos, this is not meant to be a full guide, it is more of a Melee walkthrough to use as a reference after you've watched an actually good guide. So, M3S, I think this one's probably easier than M2S. It has been, to be clear. I'm Melee 1, I prefer Melee 2, but here I am. It's Party Finder, I'm not always going to get what I want. The reason I think this is easier than M2 is there's a lot less RNG. Maybe not a lot less. Okay, Brutal Impact, this is actually physical, so Melee is with Feint. It's always good to do that. But the boss just kind of stands there for a significant amount of time and just lets you beat the crap out of him. But here we go. Lariat. If the boss is going to use Lariat in the beginning of the fight, it's only the normal kind, and by normal I mean you look at the boss and he just looks normal. So that means it's going to be a point-blank AoE. He's going to do a big circle around him and you just have to get out, slightly out of melee. Later, if he does this when he's on fire, it's going to be an in. It's going to be a donut. So it's a nice long cast. I wait till the end, get out. And also, that was a quad. So there's going to be a quad lariat and an octa lariat. If it's a quad, that means it's going to be two-person stacks, and if it's an octa, it's going to be a spread. And here's an octa boom, which means it's going to be a spread. So, octa boom dive, he's going to point in a direction and jump in that direction. If he's not on fire, like he's going to be in the beginning of the fight, it's going to be a proximity AoE. So we need to get away from him, and then we need to spread. So the way we do this is relative. So if you see here, wait for it. The way we spread, if you are Melee 1, as you're looking to where he dove, so he dove here, so we're going to spread on the left. If we were a Melee 2, we would go to the other side. Very comfy. Another Brutal Impact. Melee 2 should be feinting this. But yeah, you see, you just kind of standing there and lets us hit him for a long time. I mean, there's plenty of mechanics, but they just come out kind of slow. Alright. So here's what's going to happen here. So all of the tanks in Melee, they're going to go to either A or D. Okay? So it spawned at A, so we're going to go at A. And what we're going to do is we're going to get knocked back to the far corner. If you are Melee 1, as you are looking at the boss, okay, you're looking at the boss here, right? If you're Melee 1, you're going to go more left. If you're Melee 2, you're going to go more right. So I'm just going to situate myself to when this knockback happens. This is a soak, by the way. We're going to go over to this soak. So we get knocked back. Pop. Then we get knocked back towards the middle, and then we get knocked back behind the boss. It's a really fun mechanic, I actually like that one. And then the boss is just gonna stand there for a while. Doping Drought is basically like a phase change. He's gonna get more abilities after this, but we just get to hit him for a while. He's gonna knock out the judge, which I'm all. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm all for thematic things happening, and him knocking out the judge is just fun. It's just good fun. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. He's doing another lariat. So, but now he's on fire, which means he's going to do a donut AoE around him. So it just means that we're going to go in. And also, it's an octa. So oct is 8, so it's going to be a spread, not a two-person stack. So we're just gonna stay in our clocks. And cones are gonna come out. Okay. And now we have a quadro boom dive. Hard to say. So this is another dive, so he's gonna face a direction and go that direction. But now because he's on fire, it's gonna be a knockback. The best way to do this is to just hit your knockback immunity. And it's quad, so you're gonna do 2-person stacks. I'm melee 1, so I stack with tank 1, or main tank. Another brutal impact, I believe that's M1's. As a melee DPS, it's you just kind of hit the boss. Tag team. This is a cool mechanic that will probably be fairly easy for you. So you're gonna get chained to an ad. That means you need to get hit by the ad. Okay? And they're gonna do the lariats that you see in the normal mode fight. So you're gonna get hit by this one, which means you can just point your camera toward the one that didn't chain you and solve for that one. And what I mean by that, he's gonna be here. Wait for it. Okay. So you can see the fires on this side, and the hitbox is gonna be like this way. So we need to be over on this side, since we're gonna get hit by this guy. So if you stay in the middle and just solve the one that's in front of you, you solve it, that's it. Then there's gonna be a safe corner after this. It's the one that gets hit by both of the ads. If you miss it, you can see the animation. Here we go. It's kind of fast, but you can see that this quadrant got hit by both. So that's going to be the safe side. So we go to that quadrant. And then you're just going to have to remember right after that goes off, go to your clock positions. There's going to be another lariat. It's an octolariat. He could be on fire or not. You just have to pay attention. He is not on fire, which means it's going to be an out, and it's going to be a spread. Another brutal impact. This should be M2's. M2's turn to faint. That's what I'm referring to. Okay. Final fuse down. This is a wall in Party Finder the first time you're doing it. So there's a few things to look at here, and there's a few different strats that are kind of popular. So, first things first, what's going on? You have to look at your head. This is a long fuse. So a long fuse is going to... is it a long fuse or is it a short fuse? I'm going crazy now. I'm pretty sure this is a long fuse. But the people who explode first are going to have to find the long fuse where they go and spread. And then the people who have the people with the short fuse explode first. They go to the long fuse, so they can explode, and the bomb that they're next to doesn't explode. And then the people with a, and then you switch with the people that have the long fuse. So if you have a long fuse, you're gonna go in the center. It'll make more sense when I let it play. Okay, so I do have a long fuse. I'm not going crazy. So I have a long fuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the 2 long fuses there. And I'm going to go in the very center. There's actually, you can't really see it where I paused it, but there's like a line that goes like around here, and you're going to step in the middle on that line. So let's let that play out. So you saw those explosions, and everything should be hunky-dory. Then we're gonna spread. Now, how do you spread? I'm gonna back up a little bit because this can be confusing because there's two different strats. Let's just back up a little bit. Yeah. So there's like two different strats, and I have a preference for which one that I like, but the pace spin strat, unless it's been changed recently, they do a relative north strat. And so for that, you see that there's a short fuse here, a short fuse here, and a long fuse is going to be here. We call it the solo long fuse, and this would be north, relative north. And let's say I was spreading, right? I would go, as I'm looking relative north, I would be on the left because I'm melee 1. So I would actually like spread here. I don't like this strat because there's a lot of steps involved. You have to find the solo fuse. Then you need to, orient yourself, figure out if you're a long or a short. There's just a lot of thinking involved. There's another priority, which is just way easier, and generally, I think people just call it Hector. It's what Hector did in his video. So the relative north is always going to be in this corner or this corner. Okay, so it's only going to be in these diagonals. It's never going to be in these diagonals. So the relative north doesn't have to be a thing. Basically, what Hector does is, if I'm melee 1, I'm either going to spread on D or A. And if I'm melee 2, I'm either going to spread on C or B. One of those is always going to be correct depending on if you're long or short and whatever. That makes life so much easier because then you only have to look at what fuse do you have and where's the long fuse on these two things. It's just easier. I've done the relative one. It's just easier to make a mistake doing the relative north one. So when I'm doing my re-clears, I normally look for a group that's doing Hector. So if we play this again, I have a long fuse. Yep, I have a long fuse. So I'm going to go center first, and I'm going to go center toward the 3 long fuses. So it's going to be over there. So again, it's hard to see in this video, but there is a line on the ground that I can stand on. The line is like right there. It's the line of this circle, right? And you want to stand like about here on that line. That way you won't get hit by the explosions. I missed it. You guys saw that. And then I spread. It looks complicated, but it's not bad. The hardest thing about this is that happens fairly quickly, and then we instantly go into a dive. And you have to look at if he's on fire and if it's a quad. So you just gotta look at him and do the right one. So he was on fire, so it was a knockback. I knockback resisted, and it was a quad, so I'm stacking. It seems like a lot, it's really not. Fuse field. Alright, fuse field, super easy. So when fuse field comes out, the first thing you do is look at your debuff. You ask yourself, are you long or are you short? Long is going to be 40 something, short is going to be 20 something. And before the pull, you should have recognized what the order is going to be. So in this group, the order was melee, melee, ranged, ranged. So melee 1, melee 2, ranged 1, range 2 is the order. So since I'm melee 1, I'm first in line, and my debuff is long. So he's going to spawn these fuses. We have long fuses and we have short fuses. And starting from north, because this is A, my spot is going to be on the first long fuse. So starting with A, going clockwise. I'm melee 1, so I get the first one. And just so you can see, melee 2 is going to take the second long fuse going there. So melee 2 is right there. And this is fairly simple. So again, there's long fuses and short fuses. If you're short, you go first. So the support's got short. So here's main tank. He took the first short fuse, and he's just gonna go and stand on the fire to put the fuse out. That's gonna make an explosion, gives you like 2 seconds of vulnerability, and then the next person does it. And then the next person does it. And then the fourth person does it, and the fourth person is the last support. So now since I'm long, I'm gonna be the first DPS, which means I'm the fifth one in that order, because all 4 supports went, because they were short, and now all the DPS have long debuffs, and I'm the first one. And by the way, before I do this, I'm just looking over at people's health, make sure they're topped up. And then I just do damage. As far as me as a melee DPS goes, I'm done. I can just hit the boss. And I'm a little lazy here, like I can absolutely like go to the end and get positionals, but I think I used a true north there. But yeah, I'm just lazy. You can absolutely move once you do your fuse. It feels like a long fight. Okay, he's taking another drink, which means he's gonna get new abilities. This is, you know, quote unquote like phase 3 if you really want to think of it that way. Alright. So this is a new ability, but the thing you need to look at is quad. So that means at the very end of this, we're gonna have to stack with our buddies. And all he's going to do is he's going to jump and do room-wide AoEs. After the 4th one, he's going to do a big AoE that we have to step out for. And then after that, so we're going to be out. After that big AoE, we're going to go in the center, because there's going to be another donut after that. You'll see. So let's count. So, 1, 2, 3, and I move out a little bit early, so there's the first one. And then we go in. And then the same partners we had for lariats, we're going to be there. This knockback is going to go right to the corner. Now, this is not going to be a cone stack, this is going to be a point-blank AoE stack. So, if it's stack, both people are just going to move straight ahead and stack right here. If it was spread, then my healer friend over here would just stay right here, and I would move up, and we'd be spread enough. So we're both going to move up. We both take the 2 partner stack. Uses a Fury. Okay, so this looks familiar, right? But this is actually easier than the other one. The positions are the same here. We have a long fuse here, we have a bunch of long fuses there. We're gonna go to the long fuse side and just wait for them. I'll be here. Now, while this is going on, we're gonna get chained again. So we're gonna get hit by this one. And this time we need to get hit by the boss, so the only one we have to dodge is going to be that one. So I keep my camera facing this one. Wait for the explosions to go off. I keep my camera facing the one I'm going to solve. And then I move to the same safe spot I did for the other one. you will likely be fine here. So here's the deal. This guy is going to hit that side, so I have to solve that, and that AoE is going to be about here. But I also need to get hit by the middle guy. Now, this is going to be an AoE that goes like that. And almost, you have a 1 in 4 chance of making this harder than it has to be. But because this AoE is so big, we're just going to solve this first one, stand right here, and it's done. If the boss was facing this direction, then we would have had to move a little bit to one of the other sides, depending on which side is getting hit by the one over here. I just hope it doesn't happen. Wait for it. And if you didn't pay attention, you can look here that this quadrant is getting hit by both. So that's going to be the safe one. So we got hit by the ones that we did. And then we prepare for the dive. So we're going to go away because it's not on fire. And it's octo, so it's spread. A few people died there, but we're recovering. Brutal impact. I forgot which order this is. I fainted it anyway. When in doubt, just send out a feint. It's not like feint is that big a deal. We're almost there. This is going to be a long video. Fuse or foe? Okay, this mechanic looks hard, but it's actually incredibly easy. So here's the deal. We're going to dodge these AoEs, and we're going to do that by seeing he's rotating that way. So we're going to start as far away from that as we can. So we start right here. Now, me as melee 1, at the end of all this, I'm going to need to end on D. Why D? Because it's a clock position that I'm trading with the healer. So for this mechanic, the melees and the healers are going to trade clock positions. Other than that, everyone else is just going to end on their clocks. If I was melee 2, I would end on B. So while I'm doing this, in my head, I'm just saying, end on D, end on D, end on D, because I'm melee 1. And all we're going to do is, as these go off, we're going to dodge into the one that just went off. So that big circle ahead of me goes off, then we dodge into it. Then you can see the boss is still doing the cone. There's all this safe room behind the boss, so we're just going to go behind the boss, and because I'm going to end on D, I'm just going to follow the cones and then end on D. So go behind the boss, follow the cones, end on D, and then end on D. And that's it. It looks super complicated, it's not. And now the hardest part about this is you have to look on what type of lariat is it. It is. It's a quad, so you have to find your marker, figure out what kind of lariat it is, and adjust. So this is an in and a stack. Another brutal impact. By this time in the fight, there's more of these that happen in one cast. So this is a bit of a healer in mid check. We're almost there. This is a very long video, but we're almost there. This is going to be the same. I'm melee 1, so I get knocked to the left relative to the boss. Then I get knocked to the middle, but I have to look at the boss now. It's going to do a lariat, knock so you don't get hit by that. And then look at the boss. You can pop sprint and dodge this lariat too. and kill the boss. At this point, we're practically at enrage. I think it gets a little spicy here in this clear that I recorded. So if I recall, I think the tank dies. Yep. And then the other tank dies. And then half the group dies. But we kill it. It's fine. We're far enough ahead on DPS. So at this point, the boss is going to die. But he's going to drink, so we can just hit him for a while. Then he's going to do the same 4 jumps out in and knockback that was in earlier in the fight. It's exactly the same. 4 jumps, make sure you're out, make sure you're in, and then that's enrage. After that, you're going to die. We kill the boss here, and that's it. So yeah, I think this fight is fine. I think the first half of it's a little bit boring, to be honest. This is usually the easiest one to re-clear, in my experience. There's enough randomness going on in M1 and M2 that I normally have more troubles re-clearing that in Party Finder than this. That's kind of created an interesting dynamic where I don't get a lot of practice with this fight because I only do it like once or twice a week. So when I go into it, I'm like, wait, how does this fight go again? And I just kind of remember how it goes. Alright, that's 3 down. There's 1 more to go. If this is helpful, please let me know below. Oh. Gotta turn the record off.